Hello students, greetings of the day. I hope you are doing well and preparing well for your upcoming examinations. So in this video, I am going to explain about the transition videos given by ICAI for students who are converting from 2017 scheme to 2023 scheme. So you people have several doubts regarding the what exams that you need to write and how you can qualify these exams, right? So to clarify some of these doubts, ICAI come up with transition provision, and these transition provisions are applicable to students who are registered under 2017 scheme, and obviously you have no other option, you are automatically converted to 2023 scheme, right? What about students who are registered before 2017 scheme? They have to approach e-Sahayata, okay, or they can drop a mail. So there are some transition provisions which are given by ICAI. Okay, in this video we will try to explain all those transition videos in a detailed manner. Okay, you know the papers under old scheme as well as under new scheme. Okay, paper wise exemption in new scheme is given. So if you get exemption in old scheme, then under new scheme which paper will be given exemption to you? That is clearly explained there. For example, if you get exemption in paper 1 under old scheme, you will get exemption in paper 1 in new scheme. Likewise, we have explained paper wise. Okay. Now, if you get exemption in paper 7 or paper 8 or both papers in old scheme, you will be exempted in paper 6 in new scheme. Okay. If you get exemption in paper 3 in old scheme, you will get exemption in paper 4 in new scheme. Okay. So, exemption that you will get in the new scheme. So, paper wise is given. The key aspect that you need to focus here is consequences if a student of 2017 scheme qualifies first group under old scheme and converts to new scheme. One group. Okay. So what are the things that you need to keep in mind? That means you have qualified one group under old scheme. Okay. Then what sort of things that you need to keep in mind while preparing and validating the examination? Okay. That means which papers you need to write and which papers you can carry forward the exemption into new scheme. All these details are given in this particular table. Let us see each provision one by one. So, first one, you have qualified group 1 and you have not got any exemption in any papers of group 2. Then what you need to do? Shall write paper 5 and paper 6 of group 2. What are paper 5 and paper 6? Auditing, FM and SM, right? Not only that, you need to get 40 marks in each paper, an aggregate of 100 marks. You need to pass as well as you need to get aggregate of 100 marks. Okay, combined together. That's paper 5, paper 6. You got exemption in paper 5 in group 2. So, see, you need to remember one thing. These are under old scheme and this is under new scheme, right? So, if you qualified group 1, you got exemption in paper 5 of group 2. What is that? Advanced accounting. Then same thing is applicable. You need to write paper 5, paper 6 in new scheme and you need to pass and you need to get aggregate combined together, right? Next, group 1 qualified under old scheme. Now you got exemption in paper 6 in group 2 under old scheme. What is paper 6 under old scheme? That is auditing, right? Then what you need to do? Shall write paper 6 of group 2. Paper 6 of group 2. See, numbers may be same, the papers are different. Paper 6 under old scheme is auditing and paper 6 under new scheme is FM and SM, right? So, you need to write paper 6 of group 2. Need to get 40 marks. Not only that, in that paper, an aggregate of 100 marks including exempted marks of paper 5. This paper 5 is under new scheme. Okay, so you should pass that. You should get 40 marks. Not only that, you should get an aggregate of 100 marks. So, to get aggregate of 100 marks, what marks will be used? Whatever the exempted marks you got in paper 5. What is paper 5 here? Nothing but auditing. So, here you got some exemption, right? This exemption marks will be given here or will be carried forward here. So, in addition to that, you need to get 40. That means simply if you got exemption here, okay, right, you need to pass. Not only that, you aggregate with this paper, that is paper, whatever the marks you got, that will be carried forward to paper 5 under new scheme, right? So you should get 100 marks. That is the point you need to keep in mind. Okay. Next, qualified group 1, exemption in paper 7 or paper 8 of group 2. What is paper 7, paper 8? We know that EIS and SM, and second one will be the FM and economics or finance, right? So you got exemption in either of the papers. Then what you need to do? Shall write paper 5 of group 2. Shall write paper 5 of group 2. You have to remember one thing. You have qualified group 1 means anyway you are not going to write paper 4, right? Am I clear? So that is common thing here. If you qualified group 1, you are not going to write paper 4 in new scheme. That is common. Remaining things you need to see. So shall write paper 5 of group 2. Okay, that is paper 5 is nothing but auditing and ethics. And need to get 40 marks in that paper, an aggregate of 100 marks, including the exempted marks of paper 6. What is paper 6 here? Nothing but FM and strategic management. Okay, right. So that is the points that you need. These are the points that you need to remember. Next, qualified group 1 got exemption in 2 papers of group 2. So in the previous thing, what we have seen is that you qualified group 1 and got exemption in 1 paper, right? Now here you qualified group 1 and got exemption in 2 papers of group 2. So exemption in paper 5 and paper 6 of group 2. What are those? Advanced accounting as well as your auditing and assurance standards, right? So when you got exemption in paper 5 and paper 6 in old scheme, what you need to do? Shall write paper 6 of group 2, that is FM and SM. Okay, that is under new scheme. Do remember one thing. This is under old scheme. What are the paper numbers that you were mentioning? And here it is under new scheme. Okay, and not only that, you need to get 40 marks in that paper, an aggregate of 100 marks, including the exempted paper marks of paper 5. Exempted marks of paper 5. What is exempted marks of paper 5? Nothing but auditing and ethics here. Am I clear? That means paper 6 in old scheme and paper 5 in new scheme are one and the same. Next, qualified group 1 and got exemption in paper 5 and paper 7, or paper 5 and paper 8, or 7 and 8. That means you need to write paper 6. Paper 6 is pending in old scheme. Paper 6, what is that? Paper 6 auditing and assurance. So obviously paper 6 in old scheme is nothing but paper 5 new scheme, right? So you should write paper 5 in new scheme, that is under group 2. Okay, I need to get 40 marks in that paper, an aggregate of 100 marks, including the exempted marks of paper 6, nothing but FM and SM. Okay, now qualified group 1 and got exemption in paper 6 and paper 7, or paper 6 and paper 8 of group 2. That means you have qualified cainter. Okay, next, qualified group 1 and got exemption in 3 papers of group 2, that is exempted in paper 5, 6, 7, or 5, 6, 8, or 6, 7, 8, qualified cainter, no issues at all. Okay, as I said, this column is under old scheme and this is under new scheme. Am I clear? Next. Okay, and next, qualified group 1 and got exemption in P5, paper 5, paper 7 and paper 8. What is paper 5? We know that advanced accounting. Paper 7 is ES and SM. Paper 8 is FM and economics or finance, right? That means you have not passed auditing. So obviously you need to write auditing, which is paper 5 in new scheme. Shall write paper 5 of group 2 under new scheme. Okay, I need to get 40 marks in that, an aggregate of 100 marks, including the marks exempted of paper 6 under new scheme. Because paper 7 and 8 under old scheme is nothing but paper 6 under new scheme, right? So this is the point that you need to remember. Next, Nana, qualified group 2 and got exemption in 1 paper of group 1. Obviously, the same pattern is followed here also. So you have qualified group 2 and got exemption in 1 paper of group 1. So no exemption any of the papers of group 1. Then what you need to do? You need to write paper 2, paper 3 of group 1 and paper 4 of group 2. What is paper 4 in group 2? It is nothing but cost and management accounting. Okay, so you have to write. So out of all the combination is the worst scenario, right? You need to write 2 papers in 1 group and 1 paper in another group, but need to get 40 marks in each paper and aggregate of 150 marks combined together. Am I clear? Same is applicable when you get exemption in paper 1 of group 1. What is paper 1 of group 1? Accounting. Okay, right. Qualified group 2 and got exemption in paper 2 of group 1. What is paper 2 here? Corporate law, right? Then what provisions are applicable to you? Shall write paper 3. Okay, what is paper 3 here? Nothing but taxation, and paper 4 of G2, because you have qualified group 2, not group 1, right? So earlier in old scheme, cost and management accounting was in group 1. Okay, now it has shifted to group 2. So even though you have qualified group 2 in old scheme, still you need to write cost and management accounting in new scheme, which is in group 2. So you need to keep that thing in mind. That means whatever the papers you have missed under old scheme, technically you need to write it under new scheme. That's what the institute wants to say. Okay, that is what they have done. Qualified group 2 got exemption in paper 1 of group 1. Okay, nothing but in one paper. So example for that one is you qualified group 2 but got exemption in paper 2 of group 1. This is what I am talking about. What is paper 2 in group 1? Nothing but corporate and other laws, right? So in such a case, what you need to do? shall write paper 3 in group 1 under new scheme, that is taxation, and paper 4 cost and management accounting. I need to get 40 marks in each paper, an aggregate of 150 marks, including, so already you had done 2 marks, 2 papers, right? Along with 2 papers, when it comes to calculation of aggregate, we will take one more paper, that is nothing but paper 2 in group 1 under new scheme. What is paper 2 under new scheme, Nana? That is nothing but corporate and other laws. Okay, right. Next, qualified group 2 but got exemption in paper 3 of group 1. Okay, then what you need to do? Shall write P2 and P3, paper 2 and paper 3 of group 1. Okay, so under old scheme, you got exemption in cost and management accounting, obviously. So luckily, what will happen when you got exemption in paper 3 is cost and management accounting? You will be spared from writing the same examination in group 2 under new scheme. So that's why we are asking you to simply write, the institute is asking you to simply write paper 2 and paper 3 in group 1. But in the above cases, since you did not get any exemption in cost and management accounting, you are forced to write paper 4 also. But here that is not the case. Why? Because you have got exemption. Paper 3 is nothing but cost and management accounting in old scheme, right? If you got exemption, then you can escape the writing of same paper in new scheme. I need to get 40 marks in each paper, an aggregate of 150 marks, including exempted marks of paper 4 in group 2. Okay, not only with these 2 papers, you have to qualify these 2 papers. And in terms of aggregate, we will take into consideration paper 4 in group 2, that is under new scheme, that is nothing but cost and management accounting. So combinedly, for these 3 papers, we need to get an aggregate of 150 marks. Okay. Qualified group 2, exemption in paper 4 of group 1. What is paper 4? Taxation. Then what you will do? Obviously, you have to write P2 corporate other laws, and since you have not got any exemption cost and management accounting in old scheme, you have to write that also in new scheme, that is paper 4 in group 2. Likewise, you need to get 40 marks and aggregate of 150 marks. Okay, because altogether you have 2 papers here, right? 150 marks, including exemption marks of paper 3 in group 1. What is paper 3 in group 1? Nothing but taxation. Okay, so paper 4 and paper 3, paper 4 in old scheme and paper 3 in new scheme are one and the same in terms of subjects, right? Next, qualified group 2 got exemption in 2 papers. Okay, of group 1. You qualified group 2 but got exemption in 2 papers of group 1. Let us see what are those different combinations. Exemption in paper 1 and paper 2 of group 1. What is paper 1? Accounting. What is paper 2? Corporate law. Then what you need to do? Okay, shall write paper 3, that is nothing but taxation in group 1, paper 4 in cost and management accounting. Need to get 40 marks in each paper and an aggregate of 150 marks. That's it. And while calculating aggregate, what we will take? We will take paper 2, that is nothing but corporate and other laws, along with the 2 papers that you have written. Next, qualified group 2 and got exemption in P1 and P3 of group 1. What is P1? Accounting. What is P3? Costing. When you got exemption in costing, obviously you will be spared from writing the same paper which is in group 2 under new scheme. So there is a difference between above and below. You can clearly see when it comes to this combination, you should write only P2 and P3 of group 1, right? Because you already got exemption of cost and management accounting. And as usual, when it comes to aggregate, 40 marks in each, when it comes to qualifying 40 marks in each paper, that is paper 2 and paper 3, and not only that, you have to get aggregate of 150 marks. And for calculating aggregate, we will take P2 and P3 and as well as P4 of group 2. Okay, so not only you have to qualify, you have to pass in paper 2 and paper 3 of group 1 under new scheme, but in terms of aggregate with cost and management accounting under new scheme, you have to get 150 marks. So how you will calculate aggregate? Whatever the marks you got under old scheme, that will be carried forward here. For example, if you got exemption there, it will be carried forward. The same marks will be, if you got exemption in cost and management accounting under old scheme, the same marks will be applied under new scheme while for calculating aggregate. Am I clear? Next, qualified group 2 and got exemption in P1 and P4 of group 1. P1 is accounting, P4 is what? Taxation. Then what you need to do? Obviously, you have to write cost and management accounting in group 2. That is what you have done. And you have write P2. That is nothing but corporate and the loss. Okay. And here also you need to get 40 marks in each paper, an aggregate of 150 marks. And for calculating aggregate, we will take paper 3 of group 1. What is paper 3 of group 1? Nothing but taxation. Okay. Right. Next, exemption in P2 and P3 of group 1. Exemption in P2 and P3. So you have qualified group 2 and you got exemption in P2 and P3 of group 1. Okay, that is under old scheme. What is P2? Paper 2 under old scheme? Nothing but corporate under loss. Paper 3 is nothing but cost and management accounting. So what you need to write? You need to write taxation paper here. That is paper 3 in group 1 under new scheme. And you get 40 marks. And when it comes to calculating aggregate here, you need to get 150 marks, including exemption marks of paper 2 in group 1 and paper 4 in group 2. Okay, what is paper 2? Corporate law. And paper 4 in group 2 is nothing but cost and management. Paper 4 in group 2 is nothing but cost and management accounting. Okay, right. And you have qualified 2 groups and got exemption in P2 and P4 of group 1. What is P2? Corporate other loss. P4 is nothing but taxation. Then what you need to do? You need to write paper 4 in group 2. Okay, even though you have qualified group 2 under old scheme, but you got exemption only in paper 2 and paper 4 under old scheme. That is nothing but corporate law and taxation. That means you have not qualified cost and management accounting, right? So you have to write cost and management accounting, which is under group 2 in new scheme. And moreover, you need to get 40 marks in that paper and aggregate of 150 marks, including the marks exempted. Including exempted marks in paper 2 and paper 3 in group 1 under new scheme. What is paper 2? Corporate laws, and paper 3 taxation. Qualified group 2 got exemption in paper 3 and paper 4 of group 1. You will write only one paper, right? That is P2 of group 1. What is P2 of group 1? Corporate and other loss. And here also you need to get 40 marks, and we'll need to get aggregate, okay, of 150 marks. For that we will take 2 more papers. That is paper 3 in group 1 under new scheme and paper 4 of group 2 under new scheme. Paper 3 of group 1 under new scheme is nothing but taxation, and paper 4 of group 2 is nothing but cost and management accounting. So these are some of the tricky points here. You should pass, and moreover you should get the aggregate, and the combinations are given, different combinations. So you have to choose the appropriate combination. The only thing is that this is under old scheme, whatever the paper numbers that you are mentioning, and whatever the paper numbers that you are mentioning here is under new scheme. So you choose the relevant combination. That's it. Okay, not all combinations applicable to you, right? Next, qualified group 2 and got exemption in 3 papers of group 1. So what are those 3 papers? P1, P2, P3 under old scheme. P1 is accounting P2 is corporate and other loss, and P3 will be your cost and management account. Then what you should write? Shall write P3 of group 1, nothing but taxation. Taxation, okay, because that means you qualified group 2 and got exemption in paper 1, paper 2, paper 3 under old scheme, but you did not get qualify or did not get pass marks in taxation, which is paper 4. Obviously, you write taxation paper in new scheme, that is paper 3. Need to get 40 marks in that paper and aggregate of 150 marks. For calculating 150 marks, what papers we are taking additionally? P2 and P4 of group 1. Okay. Now, what are those P2 and P4? You can go through it. Okay. P2 is nothing but corporate and other loss. P4 is nothing but your cost and management accounting. Am I clear? Right. So it should be group 2 here. P2 is of group 1 and P4 is of group 2. Okay. Right. Next, qualified group 2 and got exemption in P1, P2 and P3. Okay. That means you did not got an exemption in cost and management accounting. Okay. Then obviously you have to write cost and management account. That is nothing but P4 in group 2. You need to get 40 marks and aggregate of 150 marks. For calculating aggregate, we will take P2 and P3 papers. Okay. Of group 1 under new scheme. P2 is corporate and other loss. P3 will be taxation. Okay. Qualified group 2 and got exemption in P1, P3 and P4. Obviously you need to write P2 in group 1, that means corporate other loss. You need to get 40 marks, and not only that, you need to get aggregate of 150 marks also. For calculating aggregate, we will take not only P2, that is corporate other loss in new scheme, the exam that you have written. Along with that, we will take 2 more papers, that is P3 of group 1. P3 of group 1 is nothing but taxation, right? And P4 of group 2, nothing but cost and management accounting. Qualified group 2 and got exemption in P2, P3 and P4. That means apart from accounting paper, if you got exemption in P2, P3, P4 of papers under old scheme, then you have qualified CA inter. Okay. So these are different combinations and transition provisions provided by the institute. Please choose your appropriate combination. Okay. And then understand. Because you need to be very careful. Not only you have to pass, but you have to focus on aggregate also. For calculating aggregate, which additional papers the institute is considering, you need to learn those also. So basing on this, you need to fix a target. How many marks you need to get in the paper that you are going to write. Am I clear? Right. So what about any other combination of papers not discussed in the above table? Among the 6 papers of the new scheme, eliminate the following papers and it is sufficient to qualify the remaining papers. What papers you need to eliminate? If we have already qualified any one group in the old scheme, they eliminate the corresponding papers of that group in the new scheme, obviously. Okay, that means if you are qualified group 1 under old scheme, no need to write cost and management accounting in new scheme and group 2, right? Next, also eliminate the papers in which you scored exemption basic. Also eliminate the papers in which ICAI has dropped from the syllabus. Okay. Next, what about the applicable qualifying marks for all the above stated students in the new scheme? If a student makes his exemption permanent, I hope you people are aware what is meant by making exemption permanent, okay? Then he should score 50% of the marks in each of the remaining papers of that group, and to qualify should score 150 marks including the marks of the exemption paper. Okay, if you make your exemption paper or exemption permanent, then whatever the papers that you are writing under new scheme, in these papers you have to score a minimum of 50% and your aggregate should be 150, including with the paper that you have made permanent. Okay. Next, if a student wants to continue his exemption for 3 consecutive attempts after which it lapses, then he should score 40% of the marks in each of the remaining papers, an aggregate of 50%. Okay, that's a normal thing. Okay? If a student decides to take permanent exemption in any of the papers, then in subsequent attempts, if he gets any exemption in remaining papers, he will not be eligible to take those exemptions. It is what is given here. If a student decides to take permanent exemption in any paper, then in subsequent attempts, such student is not eligible. Such student is not eligible for any exemption of the remaining papers in the same group. Okay, it is a point you need to remember. It is required to inform ICAI that you have converted to new scheme. No, because as on 29/2/2024, all the students of the old scheme automatically got converted into new scheme. There is no special or separate plea that you need to forward to the institute. Okay. For how many attempts this conversion will be valid? Obviously 5 years from the date of conversion. Okay. After that, students are allowed to revalidate the CA inter-registration only once in the new scheme. There is a point here. Okay. So these are the transition provisions. Please choose your right combination. Okay. Please go through the numbers here. Okay. Yes, you people are aware of all the papers. You are the one who attend the examination, but please be careful of these numbers and choose the right combination. Okay. Thank you and all the best for your future examinations.